Hi, my name is Ayom Sheikh, and I'm an information security analyst in ISOEH Data Securities Private Limited. And today we will discuss the topic Linux privilege escalation. Okay, and we will escalate privileges. We will gain the privileged access of the Linux system by abusing the pseudo rights and by exploiting the SUID bits. And to do that, we will solve two labs that are available on the vulnerable. Okay, basically those two labs are vulnerable machines. Okay, two vulnerable machines that we will exploit. One is for abusing the pseudo rights and another is to use or is to exploit the SUID bits. Okay, first let's discuss what is Linux privilege escalation and why should we study that. First of all, it is a crucial topic because whenever we are penetrating a system, we can gain the access as a user, but a user cannot have the full control of the system. To gain the full control of the system, we need escalated privileges. So let's discuss the privilege escalation first. What is actually privilege escalation? What are the types of the privilege escalation? Then we will solve those two labs. Okay, so let me present my screen. Okay, I think the screen is visible now. Okay, so first of all, we will go through the definition part. So, what is actually the privilege escalation? As I have told you guys that privilege escalation means it's a kind of a cyber attack. When we are attacking a system, when we are attacking a system by exploiting its vulnerabilities, we can gain the access of the system. Now, after gaining the access of the system, we need elevated access. We need the privileges to hold the control of the system, to hold the control of the whole system. Okay, we need administrator level privileges. So now, this particular privilege escalation can happen by the misconfigurations, by the misconfigurations in, setting the pseudo rights or SUID bits, or we can, exploit the kernels. Okay, we can gain the privilege escalation by exploiting the, by the kernel exploitation basically. Okay, if there is a design flaw, okay, then also inside a particular system, then also privilege escalation can happen. Besides that, why actually privilege escalation happens, why attackers are intended to gain the elevated access. The attackers are intended to gain the elevated access with some malicious, they have some malicious intent. That is why they do that. They can gain monetary, they can have monetary gain. Otherwise they can harm the reputation of particular organization or a particular person by stealing the sensitive data about that particular person or that particular organization. So now this privilege escalation can be of two types. One is vertical privilege escalation and another is horizontal privilege escalation. So when vertical privilege escalation happens when the attacker gains the access of a system. He or she needs to gain the elevated access. Now, if he or she wants to gain the administrator level privilege, okay, if he or she wants to gain administrator level privilege by logging in as a user, then it is called the vertical privilege escalation, because he or she has logged in as a normal user. Okay, he or she has exploited the system as a normal user, but they want to control the whole system, and to hold the to gain the control of the whole system, they need administrator level privilege, and that is why vertical privilege escalation is necessary. Okay, and after that comes the horizontal privilege escalation. So what is horizontal privilege escalation? For example, in a particular system, there are multiple users. Now attacker has exploited the account of a particular user, and he or she wants to gain the access of another user with same privilege level. Then he or she can do horizontal privilege escalation. Okay. So these are the two types of privilege escalation, vertical and horizontal. These two types of privilege escalations can be utilized in different contexts. Okay. In different contexts, those two privilege escalations can be applied or can be implemented. In most of the cases, vertical privilege escalation happens, and we all, even if we do horizontal privilege escalation, we also need the vertical privilege escalation, because we have to, mainly the motive of the attackers is to gain the control of the whole system. So vertical privilege escalation is necessary for that. After that, we will discuss the methods of various methods of Linux privilege escalation. So what are the methods of various Linux privilege escalation? What are the various methods of Linux privilege escalation? So we will divide those methods in these two broad categories. One is vertical privilege escalation, and another is horizontal privilege escalation. In case of vertical privilege escalation, we will discuss three methods. Okay, there are many methods available, but we will discuss three methods here. First of all, if there is any kind of vulnerability present in a software, if the software version is vulnerable to a certain, attack, then it can be exploited. That vulnerability can be exploited. Okay, then that vulnerability can be exploited, and attacker can gain the access of the system. Okay. If something is misconfigured, for example, the sudo rights are misconfigured or SUID bits are misconfigured in a system, then also Linux privilege escalation can happen, vertical privilege escalation. Okay. The attacker can gain the vertical privilege escalation by doing the social engineering. What is social engineering? Now, social engineering is to manipulating, is to the meaning of the social engineering is to manipulate someone, to do something that they do not supposed to do, that they are not supposed to do. Okay, social engineering means when the attacker is manipulating manipulating someone to do something that the attacker wants to do. Okay, that the attacker wants to do, actually the attackers wants to gain the some sensitive information about the user or about the victim. Okay. That is why the attacker is manipulating a person, can manipulate a person to gain that sensitive information. After that, we will also discuss three methods in the horizontal privilege escalation part. In the horizontal privilege escalation, there are three methods. First one is the password attacks. Okay, if the password is weak, then also it can be brute forced. Okay, it can be guessed. Okay, and horizontal privilege escalation can happen if someone steals the session cookie. Then the if the attacker steals, basically the attacker steals the session cookie, then the attacker can log in into the user session. Okay, the session that in which the user is currently logged in. And if there are some application vulnerabilities present, then also the horizontal privilege escalation can happen if a particular vulnerability is present in a particular application. Okay, then also the Linux horizontal privilege escalation can happen. Now, before discussing the mitigations, we will go through the labs. Okay, we will see practically how we can gain the elevated access by exploiting the SUID bits and abusing the pseudo rights. So first we will solve the DC1. The name of the lab is DC1. Let's open it first. It will be taking some time to get opened. Okay, so it is now open. Now it is asking for the login, but we do not know the credentials. That is our task. Okay, we do not know the login. We do not know the login, but we have to penetrate the system. We have to gain access of the system without getting the login credentials, without, because we do not have it now, but still we'll try to gain access of the system by exploiting some vulnerabilities that is present inside the system. Okay, and to do that we do not need login credentials as of now. Okay, so let's go to our Kali machine. Our Kali machine is our attacker machine, and DC1 is the victim machine. It is also a vulnerable machine. It is actually designed like that. So first of all, what we can do, we can let's clear the terminal. Okay, now let's discover the IP addresses. Before discovering the IP address, let's check our own IP address. It is 192.168.56.105 and the net mask is 255.255.255.0. That means /24. So what we can do, as these two machines are in the same network, so whenever we are using the net discover command, we will mention the range. Okay, we are mentioning the network address. Why we are mentioning the network address? Because the net discover command will discover all the IPs that are present inside this network. Let's type our password, enter. We have received the IP. The IP is 192.168.56.108. Okay, so we will scan this IP using the nmap. So what is nmap? Nmap is network mapper. Okay, it can be used to, find out some, find out some information about a particular IP or a particular domain name. We can find out the operating system. Okay, we can find out the versions, services that are running inside the open ports. We first of all we can find the open ports. After that we can, find the services that are running inside that those open ports. Okay, and we can also check the versions of those particular services. Okay, and we are performing here the aggressive scan, and that is why we have used capital A. Okay, the IP is now being scanned. It will be taking some time. As we can see, there are three open ports: port number 22, port number 80, and port number 111, 111 basically. It is also trying to detect the OS. Okay, so we have gathered some information here after performing the aggressive scan. We have received that three ports are open: port number 22, as I just told you, port number 22, port number 18, and port number 111. Okay, these ports are open. In port number 22, SSH service is running, and the version of the SSH is OpenSSH 6.0 P1 Debian. Okay, now the interesting part is that the port number 80 is open. That means a web application is running here, and you can also see that the service HTTP is running here. Okay, the version of the version is Apache HTTPD 2.2.22 Debian. Okay, so as a particular web application is running here, so let's type this particular IP in our browser. What was our IP? Let's check it again. Sorry. Yes, it's 108. Okay. Okay. It is showing us the Drupal site. Okay. Now here it is. Here we can see a login form is present. Okay. Here is the username and the password fields. Let's check whether this particular login page has SQL injection or not. To check that, we can put a single quotation in the username field and the password field. We're typing an arbitrary password and trying to log in. Okay, it is showing unrecognized username or password. It is not showing some error in the database. So what we can do, we can use double quotation and then try to log in. Okay, it is showing the same message, but it is not showing any kind of error, any kind of database error, any kind of syntax error in the database. Okay, so let's check whether the password field is vulnerable in the for the SQL injection or not. I think it will not be vulnerable. Yes, as I guessed, it is not vulnerable. Now let's check with the source code. Control U. Mm, can we get any kind of juicy information? Let's check. No juicy information is found here. There is no juicy information present here. What we can do, if we try to see the robot.txt or robots.txt page, sorry, there is a typing mistake. Yes, robots.txt file is present here, and you can see that these particular directories are present here. Let's check this one. Let's open a new tab and check this one. Okay, it it is. This page is dedicated to. Set a new password. So this particular page is not. Necessary for us. Okay, so let's check about the Drupal in the internet. Let's check about it. Drupal. Okay, this machine is in the host only mode. We can check, we can search about this particular thing from our host machine, Drupal. So as we can see, Drupal is a CMS. Okay, it is an open source CMS, customer management system basically. So it is basically a framework kind of thing. Okay, it's a platform, it's a framework. So can we check for the vulnerabilities that can be present in this particular framework? Let's check it. Okay, I think it is vulnerable. There are too many CVs present here. what we can do, we can, I mean, do another thing. We can use search exploit from the terminal. let's check let's check it in the search exploit. Okay, as you can see, there are too many, I mean, scripts present here. Okay, Drupal Giddon. We need to know also we also need to know the version. Let's check the version. Let's check the current version of the Drupal. Okay, Drupal 10 is the current version. However, I think this is not the version 10. Okay, this is not version 10. Okay, so what we can do here, we can go to the Metasploit framework and we can search this particular name, Drupal Giddon. This particular name is interesting. Okay, and you can see remote code execution is present. Remote code execution is present in Drupal Giddon. Okay, if the version is less than 8.5.1 or 8.4.6 or 8.3.9, it is also available in the Metasploit. So let's try it. Okay, just open the MSF console. It will take some time. Yeah, it is open now. Now let's check for search Drupal. It is showing various payloads. Okay, various payloads that are present in the exploit and auxiliary module. And we can use this one, Drupal Giddon, Drupal Giddon 2. As we have seen previously in this particular, I mean, section, that this Drupal Giddon 2 is vulnerable to remote code execution. So let's try it first. Okay, if it doesn't work, we can use another payload. Okay, this is a particularly trial and error method. Okay, use one. Set our hosts. Okay, okay, now let's run it. Okay, we haven't set the L host. We need to set the L host also. First, let's check our, I mean, IP address here. 56.105. Yes, the session one is open now. Okay. Yes. Now let's check the. Let's type the command sysinfo, and by typing the command sysinfo, we are getting the information, the name of the computer, the OS and its version. Okay. So now what we can do, we can we have entered into the system, right? We have entered into the system. Now let's check with this particular, let's first type the cell. Okay, let's first type the cell. Okay, to gain the interactive shell, what we can use, we can use the this particular command. We can use this particular command. Okay, it is showing some error. Let's try it again. Sometime it can happen. Okay. Okay, sorry, we typed the wrong flag here. It will be Python C flag. Okay, we have received an interactive cell. Okay, now what we can do here, first we can check whether which files in this particular system has SUID bit set. So to do that, we can use this particular command, find. It will check all the all the files in the root directory, right? After that, we can check for the permissions with users. The SUID with the permission that the SUID bit is set for the user. After that, type will be file if. Okay, and this particular section is to negate any kind of error. Okay, this particular section is dedicated to negate any kind of error that can be generated. Okay, that can be generated, or that that can get generated whenever we are implementing this particular command. Okay, as we can see, these particular commands has the SUID bit set, this particular files basically. So here what we can see, that the find command, okay, the find command can be run with SUID bit set. So what we can do here, we can first create a file. Let's create a file with the name test. Now what we will do, we will use the find command to find this particular file, and we will execute a particular command. We are checking whether this particular command is running or not, whether we can run this particular command, whether we can basically execute the particular command, because this exec means the execution. Okay, we are trying to execute this particular command with SUID bit set, as we are using find. Okay, and as we can see that find has the SUID bit set here. Okay, so now if I press enter, okay, okay, missing argument. Okay, let's try to run something else. Okay, what we can do, we are in the triple W directory. We can first check this directory first check the directory ls and we are also getting the flag 1 here. We can cat flag1 txt. First we will be doing that. After that we will try to create a file in a different location. We will not create any kind of file here, okay, in the triple w folder, www folder, okay. So as we have received the first flag1.txt, and every good CMS needs a config file, and so do you. Okay. After that, we will try to access the root directory, and it is showing us the permission denied. So now what we can do? Let's go to the temp directory where we will create a file where we will create a file. Okay. Let's create the file with the same name, touch test. Now try to find it out. It is showing missing argument to exec. The file can be found using the find test directory. So if I try to run this particular command, let's try to run it again. It is something is happening here. If we don't give this particular exec and try to write bin sh, or instead of bin sh, okay, let's write bin sh first. Okay, some error has happened here. Okay, so we can search this particular thing in the Google also, in the GTA for bins, if we are getting any kind of solution or not. This particular website can be used. Okay, we can check it from our host machine. This particular website can be used to, I mean, get some particular codes for some particular contexts. Let's check it first. You can understand at that time. We need to be specific. Okay, we can use this particular code. Okay, we can use this particular code. We need to modify something here. we need to modify some particular things here. Let's copy it and let's paste it over here. Okay, okay. We need to um, exec. It is unable to find the test. Okay, if I use find dot exec, yes, now it has worked. It's working here now. Okay, we have got the root privilege. We have got the root privilege. So what is actually GTFO bin? In the GTFO bin, you can get various, exploits that can be used for privilege escalation. Okay, so this particular, command can be implemented by modifying it. We need to do some modifications. Now, if we type ID, then we can see we are root, right? Now we can access the root directory. Okay, here is the final flag. Here is the final flag, and this particular lab is solved. So we have gained the root access of this particular system by abusing the SUID bit. By abusing the SUID bit. Okay, we have received the content of this particular flag. Well done. Hopefully you have enjoyed this and learned some new skills. You can let me know what you thought of this little journey by contacting me via whatever. Okay, so that's all for the SUID bit abuse. Okay, now we will discuss the abuse of pseudo rights. Okay, for that we need another machine, we need another lab. So let's turn it off. Let's turn this DC1 off, and now we will solve this sunset lab. Let's start it. Okay, so as I told you previously, we do not need to log in inside this vulnerable machine, but instead of this, what we can do, we can go to our attacker machine and try to gain access of the system. First of all, what we can do, let's close this terminal and try to use net discover command. The range will be 56, right? And the prefix length will be /24. Okay, so 107 is the IP. We were using the aggressive scan here. For using the aggressive scan, we need to use the sudo before nmap. Okay, so as we can see that port number 21 and port number 22 is open. Now what we can do, first we will try to exploit this port number 21. First we need to check the version. The service is FTP first of all, and the version is pi FTP DLIB 1.5.5, right? So what we can do, first go let first check the version in the search exploit, whether it is vulnerable or not. Okay, there is no exploit present. We can also search it on Google. Okay, we can also search it on Google to check it whether it is vulnerable or not. Oh, as it is in the host only mode, we can't access internet from our attacker machine. We can do that from our host machine. As you can see, no direct vulnerabilities are present. No direct vulnerabilities is present, right? So what we can do, we can simply try to do anonymous logging in this particular port. How can we do that? FTP, then IP. Okay. Sorry, it was 107, right? Yeah. Now, in the name section, we need to provide anonymous. For anonymous user, the password will be blank. As you can see, we are logged in inside the FTP. Okay, so what we can do, we can use dir command, and by using the dir command, we can see a file is present here, that is backup. So let's get this backup file in our system. Okay, by using the get command. So this particular backup file is present in our system now. Let's check it from another terminal. Okay, so backup file is present here. Now cat let's use the cat command to get the contents, to print the contents of this file, cat backup. As you can see, some juicy information are present here. We have received some credentials. The credentials are office with the hash. This one is the username. Office is the username. Data center is the username. Sky is the username. Sunset is the username. And after colon, this portion is the password. The after colon, the portion is the password section. Okay. So the name of our machine is Sunset. So this particular Sunset can be a possible username, and it can be the possible password of this particular username. So what we can do, that we can use John here to crack the password first. But how will we do that? To do that, what we can do, let's copy this whole thing and send it to hashes file, for example, or p hashes file. Okay, p hashes file was not present in our system, but it has been created now. It is created now. Okay, as we have used the echo command along with the username and the password, and we are trying to write it inside this particular file. So this particular file will be created first. After that, this particular text will be written here. inside this, particular file, right? So John P hashes. Now we can use the John P hashes. Okay, it is showing that P. We need to use the list also, the file. First, let's check with the LSL whether this file is created or not. Yes, P hashes file is there. So let's use cat to get it contents. Yes, it is present here. So what we can do, if we use John P hashes, what it is showing, no password hashes loaded. So we can check the man page of John. Okay, we can use our own word list here. Okay, we can use our own word list here. Okay, so let's create a word list which we can use. Keywords, for example. We are creating our own. Okay. Okay, that will be enough. Now, what we can do, John P hashes word list. The name of the word list is keywords, right? It is showing no password hashes loaded. Something is wrong here. It is supposed to use its default password list. Okay. So the John is not working here. What we can do, we can use other password crackers. Let's check about the John first in the Google. Let's go to GitHub. What we can do here, we can check this particular error also in the Google. That what is happening here? Why is it showing like that? Okay, we can use the crypt. It was format crypt. Okay, right. Oh, sorry, we use the man command here. Okay, it is showing some error happened with John. So what we can do here, we can choose some alternatives, and we can download that particular thing. We can use the hashcat also. Yes, it is present. Let's take the man page of hashcat. There are too many flags here. What we can do, we can check for the word list. Okay, man, hashcat, grape, sorry, grape word list. Okay, what we can do, first let's try with the file name, hashcat p hashes. It is showing it has not found any kind of hash here. Why John is showing this kind of error? Password hashes loaded. No password hashes loaded. Using default input encoding UTF-8. Okay, let's check the hashcat also. What is happening here? Anyway, what we can do here, the as this tools are not working here, what we can do, we can use the real password. We know the real password actually. The real password is tier 14. If we decrypt that, so by using the tier 14 to save the time, I'm leaving this problem here and just trying to log in with SSH by using the password, as it is a vulnerable machine and we know the password here. As you can see, it is we are logged in inside the system. After logging inside the system, what we can check, we can provide ls command. Okay, we can get the user.txt file here. Yes, we have got the content of the user.txt. Now we will check whether we can abuse the sudo rights or not. Our main motive is to see the privilege escalation. Our main motive is to see whether we can, abuse the sudo rights or not, right? So what we can do here, we can just write user being 8. Okay, now let's use this shebang. Okay, now we are root. Okay, if I check ID here, it is showing me the root. I'm a root, right? So now let's try to go to the root directory. We are in the root directory now. Let's check the files here. Okay, so we have received the flag. Okay, we have received the flag. This one is the final flag, and besides that we have gained the privilege. We have gained the root privilege in the system. Okay, so that's all. I think there are some problems in John. That is why it is not happening. Mm, let me check once again. Okay. We have made a mistake. I think this particular part was missing. Okay, let's first, we can do one thing. We are inside the system now. However, anyway, if I think there was a mistake in the, the total content was not copied inside the file. So let's discuss the mitigations now. So how can we mitigate the, particular vulnerability? We can mitigate the particular vulnerability by patching the, by updating the patches. We can do patches. We can solve. We can mitigate the vulnerabilities that are present inside the vulnerable version of the software. Okay, we can update that software. Okay, we can make the correction in the we can make the correction in particular codes, in the source codes. Okay, to make the software secure. Besides that, we need to check our system. We need to do pen testing in our systems regularly. Besides that, we need to use strong passwords. Okay, we need to use strong passwords so that the password brute forcing doesn't happen. Okay, besides that, we need to limit the number of privileged user. We need to limit the number of privileged users so that the even if the attacker gains the access of the system, it will be it gets difficult for him or her to gain the elevated access. Okay, and so these are the possible mitigations. These are the possible mitigations of Linux privilege escalation. And that is all. Okay, that is all. And we will see a whole new topic in the next class. Okay, in the next session. Okay, I think this particular session is, wonderful for you guys, and you have learned about the privilege escalation from this particular session. Okay, that's all.